Where the angels look different on this side of the city. Yeah, views get in their way, but how could you blame them really, right? Skinny black boy riding all through the valley.
Alright, greetings, what's up world? Just another episode of Views from Below the Line. Sunday afternoon, just decided to leave the house, come outside for a little bit, got me a sour, got me a brew, just chilling on this little pavilion space in this little park area here by the breweries. But yeah man, I'm just keeping on hustling, just doing my thing. I got a job offer this week to do some work at the airport, so I'm gonna take it, man, because I need some consistent income coming in. It's just like a little mindless job, really, that I don't have to think too much about. It's retail. It's with this publishing company that does like magazines and all that at the airport, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it. Ain't nothing, it's an honest day's work. But just sort of catching up on all that's going on in the trades. There was an article from Wrap, this outfit called Wrap, on August 10th, and it was saying that WGA sets a new meeting with the studios. This follows a meeting that was maybe a week ago, so that would probably be the 4th. This meeting is set for next Friday, so I'm unclear if it's actually next Friday, which is the 18th, or if it was this past Friday, which was the 11th. There was another article in Variety, and this shit cracks me up because I feel like Variety is kind of a biased news source. They're always gonna side with capital and power, but this article states that Warner Brothers Discovery said that the strike has saved the company more than $100 million in Q2. Go figure, right? The powers to be in this article was projecting that the strike might come to an end in early September. We'll see. All along I've been saying more than likely it's going to be October. However, I've been saying this for several episodes now, that more than likely most of us aren't going to work on a project until 2024. The infamous David Zaslav. David Zaslav said they can't do this without the great creative community. So, here's this big shot saying, oh, we can't make the movies and your favorite TV shows without the creative community. Is he gonna do actions to back up what he's saying? Zaslav said it's important that everybody, the writers, the directors, the actors and producers, everyone needs to be fairly compensated. So, he's saying everyone needs to be fairly compensated, which I completely agree with. However, I noticed that he didn't say anything about the crew, the below-the-line crew, the IATSE workers. Our contract isn't up for negotiations until next summer. So what's gonna happen when it's our time? Because I don't feel like IATSE will have the kind of leverage that the Writers Guild and SAG-AFTRA has at this point. So what's gonna happen when it's our turn? What's gonna happen to the below the line workers, man? Are we gonna be compensated fairly? I don't know, fam. No mention of the below the line crew, the everyday worker bees that's doing the physical labor to make these productions happen. Let's see. Uh, the article goes on to say one CFO said, should the strikes go through the end of the year, I would expect several $100 million upside to our free cash flow guidance and some incremental downside to adjusted EBITDA. And for those of you that don't know, that stands for earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So that's EBITDA. Earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. So, here's like another bigwig be like, like this dude's attitude is essentially like these workers, like if they want to keep playing tough, we can keep the strike going. We gonna save like $100 million, So again, man, I've always said about the AMPTP and like the people in power, it's all about the bottom line to these people. It's all about numbers, man. They don't care about art or creativity. They just want to know, we're going to make this thing. It's going to make us money. We're going to get richer. Like, that's it. That's it. So right now, like, I feel like all these studios and stuff, they're sitting on banks of content. And I've been saying this to everybody that will listen. I'm on the side of the road. There's some cop cars with sirens blaring by. But I've been saying to everybody that will listen that I feel like a lot of these studios are sitting on banks of content. So they're going to be okay for the rest of the year, if the strike keeps going on. Like Apple TV, Paramount Plus, like all these outfits, they just keep dropping all summer. All summer they've been dropping new content. So I feel like they have like a bank of content that they're going to slowly release over time. And having a bank of content might have been one of the lessons that came out of the COVID shutdown too. Because I know like right after COVID, there was just like so much stuff being produced. Like if you were a worker in the film industry and you were even marginally decent, the late part of 2020 into 2021 was like a boom, because COVID shut down. Everybody wanted to produce everything at the same time. So there was a lot of content being produced. So, here are these bigwigs of the powers to be. They're essentially saying like, yo, we can keep the strike going. We gonna save money, and we got stuff to release. However, I'm feeling like the viewing audience, the viewing public's not gonna really start seeing the effect of this long strike labor layoff until early 2024. So right now they're going to be using up and releasing all their bank of content. So it's going to be, it's going to be like this ripple effect where like next year you might not see as many new shows coming out, especially like the first half of 2024, if this thing goes through the end of the year. All this time I've been saying the very, very cliched saying of a fight for labor anywhere is a fight for labor everywhere. So there's this labor action happening out in LA, hotel workers of like Local 11 that's on strike, and like the powers to be, man, like straight up sent in people to crack heads, you know what I mean? Like it's like a throwback. I was watching that video and I'm like, damn, bro, this really can't be happening. It's funny, right? Wingers are always talking about freedom of speech and liberty. Like the ability to protest should be a fundamental right. And the powers to be, in this case, they straight in sent in like head crackers, man, almost like the Pinkertons if you go back to like the Western days to crack skulls of these workers, man. It's nuts.
We've reported on this. There's sort of like been a rolling strike for a couple months now with LA hotel workers. And here is one that happened over the weekend. LA hotel workers action. Members of Unite Here, this is local 11, are outside the Fairmont Miramar Hotel in LA. And police were called to disperse them. And it's like, I think these are all police, but some of them also look like the hotel security guards,
yeah.
right?
It was a combo, of hotel security and police.
And I don't know if, watch what's going on here. I like at least that there's one cop saying to one of these like Pinkertons essentially, and they're not literally from Pinkerton. I don't know what security firm they're from. Like, hey, buddy, just because you're security does not mean you get to physically assault people. That's for us.
Yeah.
We're the physical assaulters. But some of them, like, I just don't understand how. I get it. They're security. They don't get deputized to be able to beat up people. But here is Adam Conover, who was on the program a couple of weeks ago, talking about some of the things that, like, for instance, Universal attempted to do to stop them from picketing. They don't want people in LA to know that this is going on.
As soon as we started striking and we started picketing here at Universal, they started breaking up the sidewalk so that we couldn't move from gate to gate. It was very dangerous. We've picketed like this for 3 months. We got a petition with 26,000 signatures insisting that Universal add sidewalk safety features. And you know what? They conceded. They are finally adding those because of the solidarity and power that our members and captains and lot coordinators showed. And we're out here today celebrating that. I mean, they didn't want to put the sidewalks in, not because of the expense, but because, you know, they didn't want us to be able to picket. They hate picketing. They wanted to make it as hard for us as possible. So as soon as we started out here with signs, they said, let's tear up the fucking sidewalks, right? They did it on purpose. But, you know, first of all, it's not legal to do that. It's union busting. And second of all, you know, we're not going to let them. We brought public pressure to bear because they didn't just hurt us. They hurt everybody. They hurt people who live in this area who just need to walk down the street. And so we, you know, we're not going to let them do that. And we won, just like we're going to win the strike overall. I mean, if we don't win, then we're not going to have careers to go back to in a couple years because the companies are trying to turn our careers into gig work. They're trying to end writing and acting as viable middle-class professions in America. And we're not going to let them do that. And we're out here on strike to make sure that they don't. And that's really empowering when you know that you need to show up to save your job, you do it. And that's why you see hundreds, thousands of people on our picket lines every single day.
I will say also, just that last point about, you know, I've seen people say they're not middle-class workers. I know electricians and plumbers who make an incredible amount of money because, I don't know, they turned it into a business. They ended up hiring a bunch of other plumbers and electricians. I mean, I also know electricians and plumbers who make a solid, sort of like working class amount of money. It is a similar dynamic in the context of writing and acting. It's not hard to find people who were in your favorite show 6 months ago now driving a Lyft or having to work, other gig jobs. It is not, and certainly it's not the money that it was 30 years ago. When I was in it, there was a lot more money associated with it. If you saw somebody on TV for an extended period of time, they would have money for a while. It is not like that anymore. Meanwhile, on that meeting between the WGA and the AMPTP, a much anticipated meeting, this is from Variety, between WGA Chief Negotiator Ellen Stutzman and the WGA West General Counsel Tony Segal ran about an hour Friday afternoon at the Sherman Oaks headquarters of the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers. I don't know who came from the AMPTP. Sources said the WGA duo made clear that the Guild, and there's a couple of things here that are pretty impressive, will not bend on the proposals to establish minimum staffing levels in episodic TV. That's basically like, you need to hire X number of writers for each show. You can't do this thing where you now hire one writer, you work them to death, and then you bring in other people to do punch-up. Because it makes it impossible for people to make a living that way. And a guaranteed a minimum number of weeks of employment, because a lot of times what they'll do is they'll just say, look, we're going to bring you in for a week or two. And because of the nature of the business, it also makes it very hard for them to get other gigs. The AMPTP has called those proposals non-starters and gave no indication on Friday that they're prepared to change that position. This is what I think they brought them in, though, for. The SAG-AFTRA strike, which began on July 14th, has added another complicating factor in negotiations with writers.